The World Heritage Committee has opened its annual as Thailand has 2 heritage entries unofficially listed at the World Heritage Centre. The 43rd session of the World Heritage Committee was set at the Heydar Aliyev Centre in Baku from June 30th to July 10th. This year, the committee will consider the nomination of 35 heritage sites comprising 28 cultural sites, 5 natural sites and 2 cultural natural sites. Besides, 28 sites were proposed to be in the committee's tentative list. Representing Thailand, Rawiwan Buridej, Secretary-General of the Office of Natural Resources and Environmental Policy and Planning, said that the ensemble of temple ruins, namely Prasat Phanom Rong, Prasat Muang Tham and Prasat Plai Bat in Burinam Province and Sri Tep Historical Park in Prechburi Province, were included in the UNESCO's tentative entries. The Atashka Temple State, or the Fire Temple of Baku, features an eternal flame. United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR officials and Thai police have visited the southern province of Songkhla to observe a human trafficking situation after many groups of illegal migrants from Myanmar landed in southern Thailand on their way to Malaysia. Local security forces briefed the UNHCR representatives of the anti-human trafficking measures at the border and humanitarian assistance for the victims. As a Muslim-majority country, Malaysia has been the prime destination for Rohingya people from the state of Rakhine. Many of them have sought labour for 20 Myanmar migrants who were rescued on June 20th. Royal Thai Police said Thailand had rescued about 1,500 victims of human traffickers and arrested 151 illegal labour agents and traffickers. Thailand has continued its measures against human trafficking along the border with Myanmar. The traffickers then hire Thais to transport the Rohingya people through to their destination. Buriram's meatball eating contest makes its 3rd anniversary impressively. The 3rd meatball eating contest of Buriram province attracted a world-renowned competitive eater from Japan, who swallowed 100 sticks of meatballs for her victory. The Tourism Authority of Thailand and the private sector in the northeastern province organized the meatball eating competition to promote local tourism, as meatballs are an outstanding product of Buriram. The contest was set at the activity ground of the Buriram Castle store in Muang district on June 29th to 30th. More than 30 famous producers of meatballs from all districts of Buriram set up their stalls in the event to introduce Buriram meatballs to a huge crowd of local and foreign visitors. There were also the contests of meatballs, meatball sauce, meatball stick preparation and cosplay costumes, as well as a food contest. In the meatball eating contest, world-renowned competitive eater Angela Sato from Japan met local YouTube eating idol Peach Eat Like to compete in eating 100 sticks of meatballs and a giant meatball. Ms. Sato defeated Mr. Peach in the 2-day event, where at least 1 million baht was spent. Drone technology is expanding throughout different sectors. Currently, the technology is making its way to the food business sector. As such, Average Drone, a local company in Malaysia, has demonstrated how this is possible and makes good business sense. Having involved in the drone industry since 2014, Average Drone is in its final phase of trial for delivering food using drones. Average Drone will collaborate with Futurize, a company managed by Cyberview, a subsidiary firm under the Malaysian Finance Ministry. The company is currently undergoing a 3-month-long trial. Demonstration of the service is limited to a 2-kilometer radius from the Futurize building within the drone testing zone. From the time the order is placed to the time the food reaches its destination should take no more than 12 minutes and cost about only $2.50 ringgit per trip. After 3 months of trial runs, the company will gather feedback and they will add more offerings to the menu. The company is also developing a mobile app for drone food delivery. Although still in the draft phase, the app is to facilitate engaging customers and their needs when ordering food. The service itself focuses more on how fast food can reach customers, as it caters to those who require quick deliveries and do not mind paying a fee. The drones have been specially developed to be weather resistant. For the time being, the 6-propeller drone model is called the Express Food and is able to carry food up to 800 grams in weight. If the trial turns out to be a success, the company's next step is to enhance the drones to carry loads of up to 3 kilograms. South Korean Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy Song-yeon-mo said that his country will file a suit with the World Trade Organization, WTO, against Japan's export restrictions on materials key to South Korea's tech industry. Japan announced its plan earlier in the day to impose export restrictions as from July 4th on 3 materials necessary for manufacturing semiconductors and display panels, which are vital to South Korea's tech industry. Once the restriction has taken effect, it will have a huge impact on the South Korean major electronics producers such as Samsung and LG. The Japanese government said it will tighten restrictions on the exports of high-tech materials to South Korea from July 4th. The move came about 8 months after the South Korean top court ordered Nippon Steel, which changed its name from Nippon Steel and Sumitomo Metal Corp earlier this year, to compensate for 4 forced labor victims during World War II. South Korean historians said at least 700,000 young Koreans were coerced into hard labor without pay by Japanese companies during World War II. U.S. Army Corporal Robert B. Chenoweth has returned to Vietnam for the 3rd time, but this is the first time he's taken his son to visit Hoa Lo prison, where he was detained more than 40 years ago. This location has become a peaceful destination and has a special connection to veterans who went through the war. The exhibition is divided into 3 main parts that highlight the solidarity among people who work for peace. They've surpassed the geographical, linguistic and religious barriers to raise their voices against the American war in Vietnam. The message "It's never too late for peace" is also expressed through this exhibition. Vietnam has been struggling to gain national sovereignty for the past 80 years. Even though the war is over, Vietnam still continues to strive for world peace with its international allies. The Vietnam Union of Friendship Organizations, Vietnam is making an effort to bring peace to the world to help solve its many conflicts. They look for solutions based on international law under the United Nations Charter to resolve conflict. At the exhibition, many gifts from sponsors will be given to the victims of Agent Orange and Dioxin at the Vietnam Friendship Village. This June, the Ministry of Information and Communications of Vietnam announced that there have been violations on YouTube and Google in Vietnam. 100 brands in Vietnam have already been warned for having an ad associated with toxic content on YouTube. In 2017, the Ministry of Information and Communications gave a similar warning to domestic and international brands in Vietnam. Companies are now struggling to make preventive solutions for this concern. The Ministry of Information and Communications stated that YouTube had cooperated to remove about 8,000 bad videos as requested. However, YouTube only removes individual videos when requested to, but they don't remove the whole channel. Nguyen Tan Lam, head of the Broadcasting and Digital Information Department, Ministry of Information and Communications, says they have requested YouTube to identify Vietnamese channels and let the authorities know about it. Only channels with content not violating the law can turn on monetization features. Channels that have been violated must be removed. The country has also requested that YouTube open a representative office in Vietnam so that they can take care of their customers and fulfill obligations under the provisions of Vietnamese law. Vietnam's Information and Communication Minister Nguyen Man Hong emphasized that domestic and international brands must comply with the laws of the host countries. Vietnam doesn't welcome cross-border companies that don't comply with Vietnamese laws. The flap over Kim Kardashian's kimono debacle still isn't over. The reality TV superstar may have announced on Twitter this week that she would rename her kimono shapewear line following a huge social media backlash and accusations of cultural appropriation for using the name of the cherished traditional Japanese garment. But now Japan's trade minister says he's sending patent officials over to the US to discuss the sartorial hot potato. Japan's industry minister Hiroshige Siko says the kimono is regarded around the world as a distinct part of our culture. Even in America, kimono is well known to be Japanese and the name is recognized. He hoped that the US would understand the purpose of trademarking the product and evaluate properly. In Japanese, kimono means thing that's worn. It refers to full-length robes with sashes donned for formal occasions like weddings and funerals. Those against Kardashian's use of the word and the businesswoman's desire to trademark it said it was disrespectful. Others said using the word was a theft of traditional culture and begged Kardashian to change the name, saying the underwear would sell just as well if it was called something else. Kardashian has said she had announced the kimono products for women that really work last month with the best intentions in mind and appreciated the feedback. The trade minister said he was aware of Kim's climb down, but still wanted there to be a, quote, careful examination of the matter. Dozens of Central American migrants who were forced to wait in Mexico for their asylum claims to be processed in the United States have opted to return to their home countries with the Mexican government's help, the Foreign Ministry said. 66 people from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador had been sent back to Mexico's Ciudad Juarez, opposite El Paso, Texas, after requesting asylum in the United States, the ministry said in a statement, under a contentious U.S. policy known as Migration Protection Protocols, MPP. Mexico organized the return trip with the support of the UN-backed International Organization for Migration as part of its launch of a temporary program of voluntary return for migrants in northern Mexico, it said. U.S. asylum cases can take months or years to be decided because of a massive backlog of immigration court cases. Even hearings can take months to be scheduled. More than 15,000 migrants claiming asylum in the United States after crossing the U.S.-Mexican border, most of them Central Americans, have been sent back to Mexico to wait for their cases to be processed since January under MPP, according to Mexican officials. The program has been slammed by migrant advocates as well as asylum officers who say it could put migrants at risk by sending them for extended periods to live in some of Mexico's most violent cities. Hundreds of thousands of tourists scattered across the North Chilean desert on July the 2nd to experience a rare and irresistible combination for astronomy buffs. A total eclipse of the sun viewed from beneath the world's clearest skies. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, plunging the planet into darkness. It happens only rarely in any given spot across the globe. The best views this time were from Chile's sprawling Atacama Desert, north of the coastal city of La Serena, where a lack of humidity and city lights combine to create the world's clearest skies. The region had not seen an eclipse since 1592, according to the Chilean Astronomy Society. The next one is expected in 2165. Eclipse watchers in Chile were not disappointed. Clear skies dominated from the South American country's northern border with Peru, south to the capital of Santiago, where people poured into a local park to catch a glimpse of the phenomenon. Australia has released hair-raising surveillance footage of a child falling between a train and the station platform as a reminder to parents to stay vigilant during the busy school holidays. In the video, a train stops at a Sydney station and a woman pushes a stroller toward the open doors. As she prepares to lift the stroller onto the train, the child walking beside her plunges into the gap between the woman and the train. The woman then raises her arm to draw the attention of station staff while passers-by pull the apparently unharmed child back onto the platform. The public are reminded to hold on to children's hands when moving around stations and boarding trains. Sydney Trains said more than half of the train station accidents on their network took place at the 3 busiest stations in the city's central business district. July 5th was the 10th anniversary of the deadly unrest in Urumqi, capital of China's far west Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, in which Uyghurs attacked Han Chinese who sought revenge days later. The unrest left at least 197 dead, mostly Hans, and wounded more than 1,600, marking the riots as Xinjiang's worst ethnic violence in decades. China blamed the riots on separatist groups seeking an independent East Turkestan. Beijing says some of these groups have links to al-Qaeda, something disputed by many exiles and rights activists. Many Uyghurs, a Turkic-speaking ethnic group native to Xinjiang and culturally tied to Central Asia, chafe under Chinese rule and resent an influx of Han Chinese workers from eastern and central China. But Beijing does not want to lose its grip on Xinjiang, which has abundant oil reserves and is China's largest natural gas producing region. Critics of Chinese policy in Xinjiang and advocates of Uyghur self-rule say that Beijing has exaggerated the influence of terror groups, and its tough policies have deepened Uyghur anger by smothering avenues for peaceful protest.